So at this time, I'm going to put the screen up for the instructions to join the breakout. So what will happen is that our tech person, Dennis, will give you a choice that will flash on the screen to join one of these three rooms. Room number 1 is MAT, fleshing out misconceptions and recovery strengths. And the professionals in that particular room are going to be, it's going to be moderated first and foremost by Anita Kennedy from Mount Sinai opioid treatment. And the professionals in that room will be Dr. Ramsey, who you heard the presentation, from Oasis, Pat Lincourt, and from Narcotics Anonymous, it will be Jim from Western New York. So that's room number 1. Room number 2, definitions of recovery, new age recovery models, prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and smart recovery. So that room will be moderated by Murray Edwards of the Manhattan Council. Felicia Pullen will be in that room. Dr. Pullen, Dr. Messi will be in that room from Smart Recovery. Also, Sherry V is our Narcotics Anonymous public relations person. That will be room number 2. Room number 3, addressing bias in siloed communities, sharing information. Louis LeBoy from the Bronx Council will be that room's moderator. Angelia Smith from For New York will be in that room. Christopher Moses from Oasis will be in that room. Angelia Smith, and our Narcotics Anonymous public relations person will be Craig R. So that is room number 3. So at this time, our tech person will put the breakout selections. All you have to do is click on that. And you join the room. If there's a problem with it, you can just, chat to the host if you get kicked out or there's some other problem, and then you'll be able to join the room. So all moderators, you're going to have to also click on record once you join.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah, I have the privilege
Hi,
of rotating through all of the breakout sessions, and all of them were heavily engaged in discussion. And I want to take this time to thank all of the moderators, Louis LeBoy, Murray Edwards, Anita Kennedy. What an amazing job you did, and the professionals, and NA members who all showed up. So we do have a half an hour before this session concludes, and maybe I could ask if each moderator either wants to summarize what went on in their session in terms of any recurring themes or topics, or if they want to call on anyone in their session to kind of wrap it up for us in this remaining 30 minutes. So, Louis, let me call on you. Yeah,
definitely. We had a wonderful session on bias in siloed communities, sharing information. And we were focused a lot on, such racism, the isms. But you know what? I want to give an opportunity. There were some questions I didn't get a chance to ask, so next time we would need some more time. But Angelia, is you still here? No. She's
yes,
not.
yes, she is.
I'm sorry, I was having a chip break. A chip break. Sorry.
Angelia and Craig were wonderful in this discussion. Angelia, can you recap what we was talking about to everyone else?
Oh wow, that's
solutions, especially the solutions that we decided that we need to come up with, the strategies for the solution of the racism in the siloed community, so we can engage each other and share information.
Well, first off, let me just say that Tavis and Craig and Chris were just fabulous, just amazing gentlemen to be on the panel with and bringing forth their information. I think one of the things that I think we all could have landed on was with regards to addressing, we talked about bias, but I'll be quite honest, we called out bias as one form of bias, a detrimental form of bias, racism. We called it out by its name, and we talked about how do we address it. And one of the things that we talked about was looking at how there are other issues that become threats to our world, where global solutions are just developed almost automatically, right? They're just universal global solutions. People just start altering their behavior and changing it for the sake of things. We gave an example of the current crisis with Russia and Ukraine and how we responded as Americans, right? With regards to helping, and that's what we do. And so very similar in those instances, we believe that there needs to be strategy with that amount of force, effort, and humility with regards to addressing racism, because of and then being very transparent about accepting racism in our world, therefore accepting it in the world that we live and work in, which is addiction treatment, prevention, recovery, and harm reduction. And so by being very brave at accepting it and not saying, well, I don't know if it exists, accepting that it does exist and working towards that on a global basis, and treating it as a threat, just like we treat other threats to our way of living is something we kind of landed on. So I hope Tavis and Craig and Chris, I gave it justice to what we talked about.
Yes, you did, Angelia. Thank you. Right, Craig? Is she correct?
You did a fabulous job, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Yes, you did, Louis.
Wavina, back to you. Would you like me to continue?
Yeah, I was actually just typing up the key takeaways that I'm going to show on the slide. But and I see Pat has her hand up.
Oh,
Pat
yes.
wants to weigh in.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm so sorry. I keep saying lower it and it keeps popping back up. I don't know why. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, you know what? With that, let us go to our second group. Murray Edwards, I popped in there. Actually, all of the groups were like super engaged. So Murray, tell us what was going on there and maybe call someone to help us with the summary.
Yeah, thank you, Wilvina. We had an amazing discussion. I just really want to shout out everybody that was in that group 2 and definitions of recovery. There was a lot of really personal sharing to be open with everybody in terms of some experiences people have had in their own recovery and in the treatment world and just in society and their upbringing. That was just very, very touching, very powerful, very moving. And I think it's just, it was great, and it really opened up a great dialogue about exactly what this conference is about the many different ways that one can make it into recovery, both the traditional and non-traditional. And I think what in terms of calling on, we had some very interesting topics come up towards the end around services for the youth, the under 18, in terms of treatment and resources and stuff. And I know Felicia, Dr. Poland was starting to talk a little bit about Dr. Smith, Wilson, your programs for the youth at Ford, New York, that I just wanted to give you maybe a moment to highlight, because there were some people in our meeting that I think that could benefit that, and some people in their communities that would benefit from that and knowing about that. So.
Absolutely. Youth Voices Matter is the program. And if you don't remember Angelia, if you don't remember, Youth Voices Matter, you can just literally Google that. I will put our information in the chat, but we have a fantastic statewide youth recovery capacity building program that works with the over was 20 youth recovery clubhouses. And so if you have an opportunity to visit Youth Voices Matter, the website or the Facebook, you'll see that we work in conjunction with to be able to support those youth clubhouses. And so we don't do any direct services, but we also work directly with 5 partners that do deliver services. And one of them being in the New York City area is the LGBT Group Center that have specialized services for individuals who identify themselves as being a member of the LGBTQ community. They have recovery support services for them. We also have in Western New York, we help to employ a youth recovery advocate in the high school to be able to work with those individuals. And like I said earlier, in Yonkers, we also work with individuals to support the youth clubhouse there. One of the other things that we do is if you do not have any youth-oriented services in your area, but you have a group of youth or older youth, you know, close to 30 as well, that are interested in starting that, then certainly you want to contact us, because we have a youth recovery toolkit that we can work with you on to be able to develop meetings, to be able to develop positions and leaders in that area so that you can form your own youth recovery clubhouse. We also do a Youth Recovery Institute where we train peer advocates to be youth peers to become youth peer advocates. So I'm going to go ahead and put for New York in the chat, but then certainly if you go to For New York, you will see our Youth Voices Matters program there. So yes, absolutely. It is, that's what we do. We work on behalf of the state to build youth recovery capital. So wherever we are needed, we're a small team based in Albany, but wherever we're needed, we will go. One of the specialists there, Ashton Daly, has become a national trainer and a national speaker on youth recovery, in particular in the LGBTQ community. So get him before, I always say, get him before he goes global. You can say you know him.
Ashton is
Fantastic.
amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, we had some of the members in our breakout room too, who have, and since the pandemic started some nonprofits and reached out to different communities and getting to voices that are not necessarily heard. So I appreciate that you're sharing that, because the youth was definitely one of those that we hit on and really wanted to get more information about that. So thank you.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to take it over to Anita, who is going to talk about the group MAT, Flushing Out Misconceptions and Recovery Community Strengths.
So we had, really good conversation and everything around Matt and the recovery community buy-in, as well as, Matt within NA and everything. And our biggest takeaway with that was that we need to focus on what connects us all together, and rather than what divides us. And that's, more helpful than anything. We had a lot of really excellent conversation. I don't know if Shane is still here. He might have had to go back to work or not, but had really, really excellent points. Jim had some excellent points too. Jim, would you be willing to share anything that you you added there, please?
Sure, just to reiterate what John had said that I had shared in my pretty much closing point, was that all too often we focus on what separates us, not what brings us together. And what we shared today and the conference itself, multiple pathways to recovery, speaks volumes about what it is that we have to be open to, what it is that we need to embrace, and that, what recovery means to one person and what one person's pathway is not necessarily going to be the same for someone else. And as Shane said, you know, there's this survivor bias that we have to get past. And he associated it with, you know, the fact that when we came in, you know, our recovery at that time and what was going on with substance abuse and everything in our communities around the country and around the world, it's not what it is today. Back when we came in, people were dying, but they weren't dying, as he said, like they weren't dropping like flies. Today, you can go out, pick up once, and that's it. You know, you can be dead. And it's about carrying a message of hope, a message that there is recovery, and that we're not going to be in judgment of what pathway you choose. We're going to be supportive. And that's the direction. NA may have an abstinence policy, but NA does not have a judgment policy.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, so at this time, for anybody that hasn't gotten a chance to speak or introduce themselves, we're still going really strong with 40 members in attendance. And there were some people that were kind of maybe silent during the breakouts, or people that maybe wanted to just introduce themselves, say what organization they're from, or if you have questions of the panelists, or you want to make a comment, you could certainly do that. I do have a slide with some of the takeaways that I'm going to post up, and I'm going to also post back up the slide for people that are needing credits. But we're doing amazing. We literally have about 10 minutes for people that may want to either make some other closing remarks, questions for any of the panelists, or any observations just about this particular forum that we're in. I see Desiree has her hand up.
So I just want to, reiterate how important it is, I guess, for people that are utilizing MOUD to be able to find sponsors and to get sponsors and have them work the steps. I've run into issues before in the past where they can't find sponsors because nobody will sponsor them because they're still using. And that, for me becomes an issue because we need to fix this. This is where the disease lies, is in between our ears, no matter what medication that we're on. And for me, MOUD has fallen into the category of antidepressants or, anxiety medication or whatever medication they're prescribed. Yes, there's some intentions behind it where some people are using it to kind of knock it off and not be fully in recovery. But I think it's working the steps kind of challenges your intention behind using any medication, behind challenges your intentions behind using anything else, which could be gambling, it could be sex, it could be shopping. Yeah, shopping issues. But it's about challenging those intentions behind the reason why you're using that medication. I know there's been a lot of overuse and overprescribing of gabapentin, so much so that they may be changing, and correct me if I'm wrong, the category that gabapentin falls into. But I think it's something that we need to be more open to, is to sponsoring members on MOUD and kind of being more open to pushing whatever medication they're on, because I'm not a medical provider. I may work in a clinic, but I'm still not a medical provider, and leaving that information or that up to the doctor to when they're ready to taper and to have that discussion with the providers. So, I do sponsor people that are on MOUD, and if they ask me any type of question about their medication, my response is you need to have that discussion with your counselor and your medical provider in the clinic that you're going to. And that kind of leaves that open for them to do that on their own end, but let's go ahead and work the steps. Let's go ahead and see what's making your life unmanageable. And sometimes I have had people come out and say, okay, the medication is making my life unmanageable. I may not be using it entirely as prescribed. and we can come back and circle around that and kind of group that into working the rest of the steps. But I think that that's important, you know, for at least for me, is to welcome somebody that's on MOUD into the fellowship, let them know that there is a possibility that you can live without, you know, abstinence-based and things like that. But it's being more compassionate, being more loving and kind to those individuals, because they are doing the best that they can. And for them, not doing the best that they can could mean that they never walk through those doors again.
Christopher has his hand up, and then Tavis.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say thank you, Wilina, Lewis, for inviting me to participate in your program. NA Narcotics Anonymous has been very informative and inspiring in my life, in my career, working in addiction treatment, and you know, NA coming out to these programs and really reaching the people and sharing the stories, the wisdom, and strength and hope to the communities. And you mentioned this is the first of its kind, I guess, in this type of forum, or inviting. I know, you know, I did understand there's some traditions that, you know, NA has, as far as, you know, association. So I'm just happy to see in the whole recovery community, a lot of things are changing in the right direction, and people are really changing and really doing things from my lens, doing things just a little bit different. I sense that people are really listening now to the pioneers, to the people, to the advocacies, people who are out there in the community championing recovery and treatment. And so thank you for, again, you know, on behalf of the Recovery Bureau and Oasis for the invite.
Yeah, and Christopher, I want to give a special shout out, happy birthday to your mom, because you mentioned to me offline that you were really happy to participate here because it was your mom's birthday and you wanted to honor her with that. So I wanted to let you know I did not forget.
Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you. Wow. Wow.
Happy
And
birthday,
so,
Mom.
yeah, and okay, Tavis, your hand is up.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say this was a first for me. Unbelievable. Thank you, Wilvina, and NA as a whole, and the professionals. But I am, as I mentioned in my breakout room, working on a project to address and interrupt bias and racism in treatment setting. So with all these great minds on this platform, I put my email in the chat. If you'd like to offer suggestions, comments, concerns, anything, I do practice open-mindedness. I would be happy to interact with you via email, and or if you wanted to take it further and have a phone call, that's great too, because I think together we can make a positive impact up against all the negatives in the life of a person seeking recovery. You know, I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's amazing when a person seeking treatment, you know, bumps into and interacts with a professional with the letters behind their name, with the badge, with the keys, and they're actually a beautiful human being that cares. And it's not what you're saying to them, it's what they're feeling coming off of you. And I just, that's it. Like, you know, I got some of those feelings today in this platform. So thank you.
Thank you. B. Davis, did you have a comment? Did you put your hand up and take it down? Or?
Yes, I did. I put it up. I just wanted to say, what I took away from today is this is the beginning of something that's truly wonderful. When I've always thought of NA as a separate entity, but today what I see is that we're coming together for the common goal of that human being out there that's dying from the overdoses. When I saw Dr. Ramsey's numbers, it just blows my mind when I hear walking down the street, I hear people talking about the number of times they died from a fentanyl overdose and somebody reversed it, and they're waiting for the next time that they could use. But if somebody could walk into a NA room or an MA room or AA room or OTP, I don't care where it is today, it seems like we're all coming together. And, you know, I have a very close friend of mine that I went to, and in the survey I said that I went to a few NA meetings with her, and I kind of got a better understanding, because, you know, people, they will move forward with the feelings that they have based on what somebody else said. And that's just the nature of what we do sometimes. But this helps me bring it all together. And I am so appreciative for this opportunity to sit and listen to all the things that were said today. And I think that today is a new day. We're all out to do the same thing. And I really appreciate this. I really had a good time.
Okay, so yes, for the first time ever,
Yeah.
Narcotics Anonymous is able to provide, oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one, able to provide credits, continuing education credits, and you can get the credit for attending this workshop today. What you need to do for that is you need to email Louis LeBoy. This is his email information. You could take a picture of that. He will be distributing the credits for this particular event. These are the takeaways that I was able to summarize as people were talking. I hope my note-taking is sufficient. But addressing bias, strategies with force, effort, humility, with addressing racism and treatment, recovery and harm reduction, and treating bias as a threat to our way of living. And then also to just emphasize, Narcotics Anonymous is a regardless of fellowship. That should be in quotes, regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, or lack of religion. And NA has meetings for LGBT, language specific, and young people's meetings. For the definitions of recovery, the takeaways were impactful personal summaries of many different ways that people can make it into recovery. An area that needs more examination is recovery services for youth. And for New York has Youth Voices Matter, recovery clubs, recovery youth toolkit to form a youth recovery meeting. And NA is a simple spiritual program. For the MAT group, the takeaways were fleshing out misconceptions, what connects us all. We focus on what separates us, and we need to embrace all pathways. There was a discussion about survivor bias, and that phenomenon has impacted long, clean members and fellowships. That's created a judgment that is no longer relevant in the world now with fentanyl and overdose rates. So NA's stance is that we welcome any members with a desire to stop using drugs, and we meet people where we're at. So we are doing great on time. There's like 5 minutes. I don't know if any professionals have some closing remarks. Dr. Kelly, John Coppola, Dr. Yamisi.
I just want to say thank you to everybody who was involved in putting today together, and for all the folks who stayed, and just to thank you for the work that you do every day, and for all of the people that you're helping. You know, it's just so important for us all to work together, to be constructive, and to just embrace all the possibilities and all of the people that we encounter every day. And I think if we can do that, good things are going to happen. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys today, and wish you the best.
I would echo what John said. Just thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, and really enjoyed hearing people's experiences, and enjoyed the breakout room very much. Very thoughtful dialogue.
Yeah, Dr. Ramsey, we know you're so incredibly busy, and we really appreciate you coming on here. Any of our NA public relations people have any closing remarks? Sherry, Craig, I'm afraid to ask Jim. That's a joke, Jim.
It's all right. I got broad shoulders. You know, I'm just going to say thank you to each and every one of the professionals and to everybody else who participated. It just further reinforced what I do as a professional, and it just further reinforced what I do personally. And I've been trying to figure out how eventually those two would just be so well accustomed and molded together to go in one direction instead of always kind of pulling in opposite directions. So thank you very much.
Yes,
Right, Sherry, go ahead.
yeah, I just like to say I'm really grateful to come together like this and to, you know, be able to look at the different pathways to recovery and to learn how to respect each pathway for its own opportunity for the member, for the person who is seeking recovery, and that to learn how to listen to them and to advocate for recovery in its not sure how to say it, but in its entirety. You know, and I think just respecting one another's approach to recovery and to allow that person seeking recovery to have the opportunity to know what's available to them and to be able to keep them alive. And that's the goal of everyone here, is to keep that person alive that the disease of addiction has taken over their life. Thanks.
Okay.
I
Well,
want
you
to
know,
say thank you to Wilvina for putting all of this together back in the fall when we started talking about this, and Murray and Lewis, and meeting all the time and everything. You know, this has turned out to be an amazing event, and thank you so much for all of your hard work and your dedication to this. It has turned out beyond anything that I could imagine. So thank you, and thank you for allowing me to assist with all this. It was excellent. Thank you.
well, together we can. And yeah, this whole event came, I was attending the Manhattan Council with Murray, and we said this would be a great idea. And so Anita, Louis LeBoy, Murray, we've been meeting ever since November, like once and twice a month to put this. So for you professionals that showed up and supported, we appreciate you. For my NA peeps out there, thank you for taking your personal time. And for you professionals that also have come on, Willie had his hand up. Go ahead, Willie.
No, I was just trying to give you a thumbs up and a thank you.
Yeah,
for
they disabled the reactions. I was going to give everybody a hearts, but I see that the reactions are disabled. Dr. Umisi, it was a pleasure meeting you as well from Smart Recovery, and I learned a lot. I am so happy that you came on and gave your personal time. So yeah. So we have reached the 2 o'clock hour, and even though he told me not to, I'm going to give a big shout out to our tech host who put everything together behind the scenes. He said, don't call his name out, but I want to give him recognition. And thank you guys so much. Once
Pat.
again,
Nice to see you, Pat.
I'll see you guys on the recovery journey.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Marie, I see you,
Nice
Marie.
meeting you.
See you.
Hi, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Anita.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Louis.
Bye, Murray.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
Felicia.
Bye, everyone. John Capola, thank you.
Have a great
Yes.
day,
Thank you,
everyone.
John.
Have a great weekend.
Take care, everybody. Have a good
Yeah,
weekend.
big shout out Luke Riddick as well.
Rovina, amazing job, Rovina.
Thank you, Ovina.
You know what, like they say, together we can. I'm just thrilled that it worked out, and we have the recording, so we can make that available as well. And And you know what? I already got a message in the chat. When are we gonna do the next one?
Great job. Thank you.
Bye, Christina
Thanks,
LaBoy, I see
Maria,
you.
for coming.
boy,
Bye,
yep.
guys.
Thank you to all of you. I appreciate you all.
Great
Thank you.
seeing
for
you,
coming.
Christina.